What makes education so important? How does it get placed among the top priority issues along with poverty, homelessness, and the climate crisis? Some would argue that education is what keeps more people from becoming homeless, while others believe that the educated will be the ones to solve all those problems. Either way, the expectation exists that education engenders generations of hardworking humans who score high in EQ and IQ. But what is education apart from kneading the dough of children's developing brains and using a cookie-cutter formula to manufacture masses of young men and women with the exact same skill set? Letter grades based on standardized tests have led to students training themselves to take in, memorize, and regurgitate information, which resembles a rudimentary process of learning at best. That process has drained creativity, critical thinking, and the joy of learning out of almost every classroom in Canada. That's why my challenge to all teachers is to encourage creativity and critical thinking in your students, no matter what subject or age group you're teaching. But what does it actually look like to convert creativity and critical thinking from concept to the classroom? A good starting place might be to ask the students themselves. You don't have to go very far to find that most students' favorite part of the school day is recess or lunch break. Why? Because they get to play. One author said this about play. Play teaches people to be capable of living with others without control. It connects experiences of vulnerability and surprise to curiosity and wonder, rather than to crippling anxiety. Play is a perfect place to start because it can be enjoyed regardless of background. Not only do teachers face challenges with teaching varieties of ethnically diverse students at a time, they must also be aware of and adapt to their students' cognitive diversities. Play can be used to break down those barriers and bring a whole classroom of students together to learn. Teachers can and should use tools like play to encourage creativity, which is allowed by the freedom of play, and guided inquiry, which leads to critical thinking. Contrary to popular belief, critical thinking is a skill that needs to be practiced in a variety of contexts. It can't just be added to the curriculum as an afterthought. One practical application of this idea could be to make the student an active creator rather than a passive receiver. Rather than a student listening to how a building is built, the student can be the one planning, structuring, and building the building. Instead of listening to and noting information from slides, the student would be asking, inquiring, and examining the reasoning behind each step of the building process. In the same way, students should be guided through hands-on experiences that inspire new knowledge of the value of subjects like English and math, igniting a spark that will grow over time into a burning passion for learning. My point is this: the emphasis of education needs to be taken off the end result and put onto the learning process itself. It's more about the inquiry than the information. It's about the exploration, not execution. It's about sparks, not marks.